Brodes Media.
Tyrese Maxey in the third quarter. It was unbelievable. 20-plus points the way that he exploded in that quarter. Finished with 38. That was aggressive as hell from him. He finished the game with 21 shots. He led the team with the most field goal attempts. And the reason why that's so damn important is because we are watching a young kid grow into a ridiculous superstar. On Saturday early morning, we had on Paul Hudrick on The Fanatic, and I asked him, look, Tyrese Maxey jumped from 30% from three to about 43% from three. Is that real? Will he fall back into the norm considering the length and the athleticism of the Toronto Raptors, right? Will it become like more of like, it was such an insane, massive improvement. It's just so hard to think because it's so rare for it to be so damn insane that it's so rare. It's so rare. Is that real? And he goes, Brodes, it happened over 82. I would feel differently if Maxey did it for 10 games, 15 games in the regular season, but all throughout the entire process of when he got here to where we are now, there's enough of a window to feel comfortable thinking that Tyrese Maxey could perform on the biggest stage even when the game slows down. I wasn't disagreeing with that. I was just wondering his thoughts. Paul Hudrick, of course, covers the Sixers for Liberty Ballers. And look at that. You know, I'm thinking to myself, damn, what a way to legitimately start your NBA playoff career. I know there were pieces last year where he got thrown in there and whatnot, but that's not the same as, hey, Maxey, go do your thing. He took more field goals than Harden. He took more field goals than Joel Embiid. He took more field goals than Tobias Harris. And it just shows you at his age to say, I'm going to win it. We got ISO ball. Move, go in the corner. I got this. And no one could stop him. Speed. The only thing that's going to stop Maxey, when you think about what Nick Nurse can do, is really just missing shots. He might not execute at the same rate because that was unbelievable. He might not make as many threes, which could change the flow of a certain game or the flow of a third quarter, which I could hear the reaction and the tone from the fans. Here we go again. Doc Rivers is blowing a lead. And that's not what I thought in that moment. I thought, the Raptors are going to make a push because in the NBA postseason, it's a game of runs, and the Raptors are not bums. They did get into some foul trouble, though, and they ended up fouling out a few guys, Fred VanVleet, Boucher. And Nick Nurse is already bitching and complaining at the referees, trying to set up game two differently, trying to set up the series probably differently when it heads back to Toronto as well, which is the name of the game. We would probably prefer Doc Rivers to do the same exact thing if we witnessed something, even though I don't agree with Nick Nurse. But I'm just saying, playing the game and trying to earn something as the series go on, that's what coaches do. And I don't agree with what his assessment was, but I understand the logic behind it. Realistically, Doc Rivers won round one, and we had concerns and stated that if you think about mano a mano, who's going to win the coaching matchup, and the Raptors had the advantage. I'm not going to react to one game and say this is what it's going to look like every single time, but it's nice to know when it seemed like the national media, the sexy pick was the Raptors. Oh, the Raptors are going to easily take down the Sixers, and they're going to punch them in the mouth, and the Sixers are going to go home early. There was a lot of that nationally. The fact that they win the way that they did, it was clean, it was crisp. In the first half, they had 0 turnovers. They finished with 3 as a team, and one of those was a shot clock violation. Joel Embiid didn't even have the most outrageous night. The fact that you could win as loud as you did without him even shining, it's scary to think what can happen when he does shine. And it wasn't because he couldn't or he was incapable of it. It's every player stepped up. Tobias Harris finished 9 of 14 from the field, knocked down 3 threes, had 26 points. Look at that efficiency, grabbed some rebounds as well, moved the basketball beautifully as well, wasn't afraid to put up shots without hesitating. So everyone was dialed in. Everyone did their role. And I wonder how much of this relates to the idea and the mindset behind Doc Doc Rivers and how he approached this, quote, mini training camp that they did during this 1 week off while there were the play-in games going down. Apparently, there was some heavy trash talk. There was an insane back and forth. There was a lot of people going after each other in the group chat. It got hostile. I love that, right? We talk about coaching where there's a big thing to notice there, which is just how the head coach got them prepared. And we know they don't have a lot of practice time. So during the regular season, when you're not getting those reps and getting James Harden incorporated the way that maybe you would like to when you had some days off to establish a set idea and beliefs, well, it's fair to say that there was a different James Harden out there. It wasn't the most efficient in the world, but the difference was the threes, the step-back threes. He finished with 14 assists. Not surprised. He's going to get everybody involved. The half-court set looks completely different. You can get everyone active for sure and get them in good places to succeed due to the spacing not being a disaster. I love Doc Rivers going with Danny Green. Not that I love Danny Green's performance by any means. He shot 1 of 6, made 0 threes, 0 for 5 from deep, but it's just the idea behind you're not going to have Matisse Thybulle in Toronto. The cohesiveness in having him play out there, even if it's not what we want in terms of knocking down shots, there's still something to be said about him being respected around the perimeter, which allows others to get going because you know if you give him enough shots, well, it's still a deadly weapon that has had a ton of success in this league. I wouldn't want to live and die with giving him too many open looks as a whole. I know today or yesterday, I should say, wasn't the smoothest from him, but I just love the fact you look at the offensive rebounds from the Sixers in that first half. The Raptors are a great offensive rebounding team. They finished with 7 as a whole. The Sixers had more than that in the first half with 8. They finished with 10 total. The emphasis, clean up that defensive rebound problem. The Raptors were not getting second chances at all, and everyone played their role. George Niang had a couple of threes. I'm thinking of Paul Reed, who had a little bit of run out there, even though Doc Rivers tried to tell us that we're dumb and we don't know anything and we have no idea how to run a basketball team because his assistant coaches know more than any of us. Well, Doc, I hate to break it to you, but everyone's been screaming for something other than DeAndre Jordan forever now. And I love the fact that the Sixers are now tweeting out audio. It was Tyrese Maxey mic'd up. I saw it this morning, and it was him talking to Paul Reed. And it's just the fact that at 21 years old, he's motivating some guys off the bench. Here we go, Paul. Here we go, baby. Clean up those rebounds. Play with that energy. It's like this kid's 21 years old, leading the pack, not just on the court and executing and playing with that speed. And that three-pointer from the logo, what are we doing here? The Dietz and Watson logo, that is. What are we doing here? He just let it fly, and it was nothing but that. There was so much time for it to be in the air that I remember when I was watching it on my phone, and I'm following it like it's a damn rainbow, and I'm watching it go up in the air. It's like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Oh, the Wells Fargo Center erupts. Tyrese Maxey. He's standing around looking at all the fans. I mean, are you serious? Mike Muscala. Thank you so damn much, Mike Muscala, for what happened when he made that big shot to give the Sixers a chance to draft Maxey. And oh, by the way, don't forget that there was no March Madness that year because of the pandemic. And if Maxey had a chance to shine on a big stage just based off of his recent track record and his body of work and the way that he's so damn committed to his craft, yeah, I would be a little concerned about him even getting to the Sixers at that point. But here we are. Sometimes you got to have luck bounce your way, and that is what happened. While the Brooklyn Nets and some of their beat reporters are posting things on Twitter about Ben Simmons making a dunk, saying, hey, how about you put that online? I mean, while that's happening, that loser, that fraud, our young one is shining and improving every single step of the way, and we are watching a superstar. I've said it months back, not that I'm the only one saying this, not that I'm the only one breaking news, but just watching how much he has adapted to this league, and there's still things to improve on, right? We know that there's defensively and all that, but in general, the jump has been so massive. He's calling for ISOs in playoff games when we're talking about Embiid, when we're talking about James Harden, right? James Harden and Joel Embiid will be the difference makers in a playoff run. That's still true. But the fact that in a game, we're looking at Maxey, call everybody off. No. It's my time. It's my time to shine. At 21, who does that? Who does that at 21 years old goes for what he did? It's just magnificent. Embiid 19, 15, and 4. 4 assists was big. I even highlighted that because one of the things I tweeted out prior to the game, and you can utilize Betway, which is a proud sponsor of the Philadelphia 76ers, the official sponsor of the Philadelphia 76ers. I put a couple prop bets out there. It was James Harden over 10.5 assists, and it was Joel Embiid over 3.5 assists. And the idea was James Harden obviously just gets everyone going. But with Joel, that Nick Nurse was going to blitz him. He would send double teams. He would send looks to get the ball out of his hands, knowing that there'd be open looks and some shots for guys out by the perimeter or maybe cutting where Joel Embiid could find an open teammate to put the ball through the hoop, and that's what happened. So I hit on both, which is a tremendous start to the playoff journey, and I'm just so proud of this basketball team. This is the best case scenario that we could have drawn up. There was some angst, and what was one of the things I've told everyone? Every game is different. Well, they lost without Fred VanVleet on the road and this and that and OG. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Game 1 at the center, it doesn't matter. There's no relevance to what happened in that game at the end of the regular season in game 80 or so to what we're about to experience when the moment is bigger. Now, to be fair, I'm going to keep it 100 here. I don't think the game's going to play out the same exact way in game 2. I'd love to be wrong, but I expect, well, here's the thing. The Raptors banged up, and I really hope everything works out for them. I know that they got some testing done, and it seemed like it was negative. I want all of the Raptors healthy. I want them to be out there, and I want them to play. Part of sports, though, is players go down. It looked like Joel Embiid landed on the foot. They had to get helped off. I hope everyone's healthy, and that could, I'm not going to say that would be the difference or winning and losing the series, but it could be the difference in how close the next game is compared to a blowout or something along those lines. But anyway, I expect the Raptors and Nick Nurse to have a different approach, a different game plan. You could talk about their starting rotation. You could talk about different thoughts and concepts, knowing what they've seen and trying to manage and hold Maxey in a different way because you know that he's going to be dangerous. And the fact that he's so quick, no one can keep up with that. Nick Nurse is a great adjuster, and he's great at making changes. So what is he going to see in the tape to now try and suffocate him? And when they do that, how does that now open up the door for some of those other players like Embiid or Harden? Or is it, look, our main focus is still going to be Harden and Embiid. Let's dare Maxey to do it again. And in that mentality, like I said, it's either Maxey executes, and if he misses a couple more threes, and instead of making 5 threes, he makes 3 threes, does it have that same impact? The answer could easily be yes. It could be no. Like, I don't know how they're going to react to it. I don't expect every game to look this way. I do tend to believe as basketball fans, when the NBA playoffs return and it's the talking heads on ESPN or it's Fox or it's Twitter and social media, after every game, the belief is, well, whoever lost has no chance because X, Y, and Z. It's not that they have no chance. We'll see how game 2 plays out. So just like if the Sixers were to lose, I wouldn't have lost my mind. With the Sixers winning, I'm not losing my mind. I'm going to react rationally. It was the best case scenario that we could have imagined. I've also watched the Sixers blow out the Raptors in Game 3 at home to go up 2-1 in the series, and they lost Game 7 on the road to the Toronto Raptors on a quadruple doink. And everyone thought the series was over after Game 3 because you thought, well, if they win at home in Game 4, now they're up 3-1, they're going back to Toronto. It doesn't work that way. I've seen plenty of basketball to know that this thing is far from over, but it is a pleasant surprise to kind of see the disparity in talent when one team is locked and loaded. When the Sixers play to their max capability, they're far, far, far away from the Raptors. That is clear.